Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Moose and Keith with you right here on the Better Sports Network. And thanks for being with us here on this Thursday. A good Thursday to one and all. We got you right up until high noon. You got a big game 5 tonight between the Celtics and the Miami Heat up in Boston as the Celtics once again want to try and continue the comeback and force a game 6 down in Miami. Good morning, Keith. How you doing, bud? I don't hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now.
I am
Yes.
so good. I am great. I was so good that I thought that I could just scream all the way to your studio. That's how good I am.
There you go. Very nice. How's everything going? All right.
I mean, honestly, I have no complaints. I don't know why. Like, some people get on here and they're like, my wife this or my kids that or house this. No, I'm just happy. All right.
Good, man.
Woke up today. Sun was shining. Austin has we're going to talk sports today, but Austin's got a cool school trip today. They go to this place called Adventureland. It's like a, amusement park. So he's there all day. Got him off early. Alex has been really into, he wants to do workouts every morning. So we get dressed, we do homework or whatever's left over, and then we go in the driveway and do 30, 40 minutes of working out. Basketball, whatever. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, there you go.
Great.
Well, it'll be a good Thursday. It'll be a good Thursday. Plenty to get into, plenty to chat about. Last thing I thought I'd hear yesterday was Kwame Brown, let's be honest, talking crap about LeBron James. So we'll get into that here momentarily. You got a game 5 tonight. We touched upon it a little bit yesterday. We were hearing massive feedback in our ears. We heard about it a little bit yesterday. We talked about a little bit about it yesterday between the Celtics and the Miami Heat. And listen, I think it's possible. I mean, I do think it's possible for Boston to force and have a comeback in this series. However, the issue you have here is that Miami has clearly been the better team.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
What's the matter?
Oh my God. Because I couldn't hear it like you. I was just hearing so much stuff.
No, we're talking a little Celtics Heat.
What is going on?
Let's pull it together.
All right. 3, 2, 1. We're going to go live now. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I think the Celtics are going to win tonight, by the way. And I said this yesterday. I think Celtics win tonight. Everything I'm looking at just leads me to believe that the Celtics found something the other night. Obviously, it's hitting shots, right? And all the three-pointers. But it's the depth that they have. And for all the team chemistry and camaraderie and all of that you want to say for the Miami Heat. And truly, I believe that there may be no more tight-knit group because of the leader. And really, it's 2 leaders. It's Spoelstra and it should be Butler. But when I look at the Boston Celtics, just if you watch the first couple of games, it was them missing shots and it was them not making the defensive stops they needed. Everything changed in game number 4. And I'm not trying to be Kevin Millar here, and I'm not trying to be Jaylen Brown or Marcus Smart, but it's kind of true, right? Don't let them get one because, when you let the team that is clearly the better team get any momentum at all. Now, listen, Miami may come out, they may play their best game, win tonight, and all of this is moot, and we're talking next week about the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets getting set for an NBA Finals. But Moose, I think Boston figured a little something out, and I think they win tonight.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, they've been terrible at home all throughout the course of the postseason. I mean,
4 wins out of 9 home games or something like that, right?
I mean, they have not been a great home team. It's not like you're looking at the Denver Nuggets. You look at a scenario where, Boston's the more talented team. I mentioned that it's possible. I don't think it's probable. Boston's the more talented team. They've also been the more inconsistent basketball team. When have you looked at it? It's okay to lean back on talent, and it's great when you listen to Jaylen Brown and before game 4 say, don't let us get this one. And they're going back to Beantown for a game 5. In normal circumstances, if it was a team that was really, really good at home, I'd look at it and say, I could clearly see this going back to Miami. Then all the pressure in the world is on the Miami Heat in game number 6. However, the Heat have been the better basketball team in the postseason. They just have been. They've been the more consistent team. They gone through Milwaukee, New York. They lead this series 3-1. Boston was life and death with the Philadelphia 76ers. They played around with their food against the Atlanta Hawks. We keep on banking on this idea. I mean, Miami is what? I mean, an 8.5, 9-point dog going into the game tonight.
It's literally been anywhere between 7.5 and 9 over the last 24 hours.
That's embarrassing. I mean,
yeah.
people are just begging to bet on the Boston Celtics. So that's where the number is going to lie. We talked about it, earlier on in this series with the 2 games up in Beantown, that Miami won outright and we're the better team. And we could talk about Boston have a 9-point lead at the half in game 1. Yeah, that's great. And they got outscored and drubbed, in the third quarter, and you never heard from him again. Joe Mazzulla gets out coached by Eric Spoelstra. I really, I come out of game 4 and I say to myself, and listen, I'd love to see more basketball. I don't want to see this monumental break. I'd love to see basketball over the holiday weekend. Love to get a game on Saturday night, between Miami and Boston down in South Beach. That would be utterly fantastic. It would be great. And I think we'd all eat it up with an absolute spoon.
Oh, yeah.
I can't get all the way there to have the confidence level that you do, Keith, in the Boston Celtics, when what I've watched from Boston, regardless of the talent level, is an unbelievably inconsistent team.
All right, let's try to talk this out then. Okay, so game 4, 6 players for the Celtics go double digits, only 4 for the Heat. All right, Boston rallies from a 6-point halftime deficit. It's kind of what they do, right? They always find themselves in a hole. They come back, outscore Miami by 23 points in the second half. All right, how about this? I found this number. The Heat have covered the spread twice this year when they were underdogs by 7.5 or more points. So it's not often that the Heat have done it. Okay. And then
does that count the first 2 games in the series? Game 2 in the series, they were a 9-point dog.
Shoot, I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just curious because we've seen this before.
That might just be regular season. And
I'm thinking that's just regular season. We've already seen it in this series. I mean, because everybody and their mother would be they were all. I mean, couldn't get enough money out of the ATM to go bet the Celtics game 2 after Miami won game 1. And what happened in game 2? Miami won, right? Then the scenario. Well, Boston's backs up against the wall. They're going to respond in game 3 and Miami boat raced them. Then it's a case of, Boston's now all of a sudden figured it out. Or maybe Miami just had a down game, which they did. I mean, Keith, you look at it, Miami hit 8 threes over the course of the game. Caleb Martin was hot in the first half, got ice cold in half number 2. They didn't get the great performance by Jimmy Butler. They were not on point offensively. They're not knocking down their outside shots, as we see a lot of days in today's day and age of the NBA. You're not going to win. And we've seen that before with Miami. We saw it in the Knicks series. We saw it at times, in that one game in the Milwaukee Bucks series. The surprising thing is that Miami has shot the ball a lot better during this postseason than they did during the course of the regular season. It just amazes me. Like, it gets to the whole disrespect angle. It really does. Like, because it's almost like as a society, as a sports society, as we are consuming this on a day in, day out basis, nobody wants to believe what we are watching. Like, still, people don't want to believe that Miami's actually good because they've got 5 undrafted free agents on the team, because they've got guys that, could have been picked off the scrap heap and they become players for Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat. People are looking at, you've got Horford and you've got, Jaylen Brown, you've got Jason Tatum, you've got Marcus Smart, you've got
Brogdon,
Malcolm Brogdon, 6th man of the year. You got White, who's been a welcomed addition, for that Boston team, and he hit big time shots. So clearly, I mean, how many times can we possibly say it? You could say it from now until kingdom come. Boston's a more talented team. Yeah. Miami, though, as sure as I'm sitting here talking to you today, Keith, and right here on the Better Sports Network, Miami has been the better basketball team.
Yes. I'm looking at odds
play
for
better,
you.
And they've been more consistent. And they have played with no fear. And Spoelstra is a better coach. So, and here's the other thing. Like, Miami, you're going to give me 8.5, anywhere from 7.5 to 9 points tonight. And you're going to give me the Miami Heat, where I know, and, I'll get to another point here in a second. I know Spoelstra's a better coach, and I know Miami plays with no fear going into Boston. I know the Celtics have not been a good home team. The other thing I really believe, and I mentioned it, the other day in passing to a buddy of mine. He's like, "Are you serious?" I go, "Yeah, I actually think Miami was a little bit nervous as a group playing at home in that closeout game against the Boston Celtics. Like, they did things that you're not really seeing the Miami Heat team do. Spoelstra mentioned it when he got interviewed, I think I think it was who interviewed him? Lisa Salters, I believe it was. No, it wasn't Lisa because it's TNT. I forget who he got interviewed by. But early on in that fourth quarter, he said, well, our guys won it. We just really need to settle down. I think Spoelstra had a good feel as well. I mean, as far as his team maybe being a little bit nervous, expecting obviously to cement a trip to the NBA Finals. I think the best thing for him is going on the road, tough atmosphere, tough environment. They've won big-time road games already. The Celtics have shown you that they have basically a glass jaw at times during this postseason. I know when their backs are up against the wall. I know what Tatum is in potential elimination games. I get all of that. Even though Boston's a little bit more talented, Keith, I don't know if I necessarily have the confidence. I would never lay the 9 or 8.5 or 8 or 7.5 tonight with the Boston Celtics. I just don't have that. At one point in time, I had that level of confidence in Boston. I don't have that time anymore.
In all the things you said, the play is the plus 8.5 for Miami, and the best book I can find right now is BetMGM. BetMGM has the best numbers on this game tonight of all the books out there. So, if you're betting on this basketball game tonight, I'm going to give you a few player props that I'm looking at as well. But BetMGM is minus 115 for plus 8.5, and they're giving you that half point. Every other book, like DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, is plus 8. Now you're getting a nickel at minus 110 instead of the minus 115, but still, I'd rather be able to have my extra half a point there to cover me. Bet Rivers is at 7.5. And then, PointsBet and WinBet are also at 8. So BetMGM is giving you the best number. And again, I'm on my BetStamp app, which is fantastic. So I would say if you think Miami's going to win or it's going to be a close game, go to BetMGM, do the plus 8.5. Now, if you really think Miami's going to win, you feel pretty confident about it, this is where you can start talking about splitting a unit here. All right. So if you want to do something to the effect of, and everyone knows what your bankroll is, but let's say you wanted to do 3/4 unit on the plus 8.5. So you're playing it safe, and then do a quarter unit on the money line plus 250. Something like that means you can win twice, you can win once, and there's only one way that you lose. So you're basically saying that I have 2 out of 3 chances to win.
Yeah, I like that.
It's an avenue. You know me, I'm nerdy with this stuff, and I'm always trying to arbitrage stuff and stuff like that. We found one yesterday on Better's Eye. I can't remember what it was. Something where you could do, it was a team total at 5.5, and then you could also get it at 5, and the only way you lost was on a push, and you wouldn't lose. So it was a push. You were going to win no matter what. It wasn't a lot of money that you'd be winning, but still you'd be winning. So I think that's the play.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I do think there's a correlation with if you like Boston tonight and you say, well, they figured it out, they're going to win it, they're the more talented team, I'm going to bank on the more talented team, they're home, I don't care what their home record is. I would look at the player point totals, and I mentioned elimination games. I think Jason Tatum in elimination games is averaging 29, right around 29.8 points per game, right? That's really where he is in elimination games. His point total tonight on FanDuel, maybe other books have a little bit of a different price, is sitting at 31.5. I would go over. If you like Boston tonight and you think they're going to win the game, you don't have to be a rocket scientist here. I mean, Tatum and I think Jaylen Brown are going to have to play really well. And of the 2 point totals that I know it's a high point total sitting at 31.5, he's going to keep chucking and ducking. If you like Boston tonight, then I would take the over 31.5. If you like Miami tonight, then I would probably take the under Jason Tatum 31.5, and then I would probably take the over Jaylen Brown 23.5 when you're looking at his point total. So now I know it's getting a little bit I know it's getting a little cute, but I do think there's a correlation here that you can draw, and it's an easy one. I think it's a case of you like Boston, Tatum's going to have to go off tonight. I don't think he has to go off for 51 points like he did in the Game 7 against the Philadelphia 76ers, but I would take the over 31.5.
All right, so let's find our best number then, though. Okay, so you're obviously on FanDuel, 31.5, minus 104 for the over. Every other book besides FanDuel has Tatum's number set at 30.5 on points, okay? Now you're paying much more up. So DraftKings, PointsBet, BetMGM, all are -125 for over 30.5. Caesars at -127. Bet Rivers, if you have that, it's -119. So there's your number there. Now, what I will say then is this. If you think the other way and you're going to go the under, your 30.5s are anywhere between -105 and -111. Your under on your FanDuel book at 31.5 is -122. So it really depends on what you think the value is. If you think that Tatum, let's say you believe the Celtics are going to win, and you think it's going to be.
I mean, I'm not outlandish to think that. You like the
No.
Celtics
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah,
Don't you
yeah,
think if Boston wins tonight and force a game 6, Tatum's going to have a game? Like they
Yes.
can't. So I don't think Boston can win tonight if Tatum scores 23 points.
Right. And that's what, and that's, I'm rolling with you on this one. That's why I'm trying to, so if you think the Celtics are going to win tonight, I think the way to go is FanDuel at -104 for the over 31.5. Because would it be shocking if Tatum ends up with 37 tonight in a win? No. If they lose, he probably gets 24, 25 points. I think there's a cool correlation there. I like that. I'll give you a little bit more of a deeper dive play on the Celtic side and the Miami side. So what I'm noticing is Boston plays better when Al Horford is active. Now, it doesn't always mean 14 points, 15 points. It means he's involved in the play. So averaging 7.3 points per game during this series against Miami. That's a number to pay attention to because I'm about to give you a 7.5. But over the last 2 games, 8 points, 12 points, averages 10 points, actually 10.5 points per game, and over 50% shooting when he's playing at home this season, okay? So that's an important thing to notice as well. BetMGM, again, best number I could find, even money on over 7.5 points for Al Horford.
I like that.
Even if Boston loses, he could get 8 or 9 points.
No doubt.
Right?
No
and
doubt.
It was 6.5 for game number 4. So they raised it 1 point, but they are giving you even money.
I like that. Anything from a Miami perspective you like tonight?
Yeah, I think it's the role players because I can't figure out what to do with Jimmy Butler here. And
28.5.
Yeah, like it feels excessive to me, but I don't want to bank on an under on him. What do you got for Bam Adebayo there? Because then I'm going to give you my deeper
17.5.
Yeah, I feel like I get burned by Bam every time I give out a Bam play, and it's like 16.5, 17.5, 18.5, whatever it is. I lose by like 1 point here. So what if we go with a deeper dive, and we give you Caleb Martin, even money, BetMGM, over 12.5 points per game. He's had at least 15 points in all 4 games in the series.
That's good. It's -120 on FanDuel.
There you go, and it's even money on BetMGM. Again, I told you the book right now, and I'm hoping. Listen, if you guys like any of these plays that we're giving out, my guess is they're all going to change. Okay, and these books are going to catch up. And at least early on, BetMGM giving softer numbers, so I would definitely go to BetMGM. I just want to make sure I'm still there on BetMGM on points. BetMGM is still even money. 12.5 for Caleb Martin. Last 2, and he's also 63% on field goals this entire series, 46.5% on 3-pointers this entire series. And then one other thing that you look at with role players, Moose, and this is something that I can look at for pitchers when they're not the elite pitchers. I'll look at how many outs they typically get. If that's not a bet I want, but it matters, it's a correlation for strikeouts there, right? And for a role player like Caleb Martin, he's averaging 33 minutes per game during this series, which means, can I almost accidentally get 13 points? I think I can.
Yeah, I think that's a solid play. I'm just looking up. I wanted to see something real quick. Not on Caleb Martin.
Give me a name and I'll get him for you.
No, on Max Strus.
Max Strus. Give me a prop.
So in this series, no, I was looking at his point totals. Totals sitting at 11.5. So if you go through this series, he's gone 15, 11, 10, and 9. High water mark was that 15-point performance, played 34 minutes in game 1 when they won 123 to 116. But it's been against the Knicks was at 14, 14, 16, 19, 17. I kind of like Max Strus on I'm not sure what to do with Jimmy Butler with you, Keith. I don't know. I don't have a great feel one way or the other about the 28.5. And I think he plays within his offense. I also don't know necessarily. He doesn't seem to have the same bounce he did in the Bucks series, but
no.
I wouldn't touch Bam. I agree with you about Caleb Martin or the secondary kind of market when you're looking at players for point props in the Miami Heat. I would actually take Strus over 11.5 points.
All right, let me give you some options then with Strus. So Strus, if we're going to go book shopping, FanDuel has the best number at -102 if you're going 11.5. But there are some books that have 10.5. So BetMGM will give you -130 at over 10.5. So I think that might be better to buy yourself the 1 point.
Okay. All right.
The other thing, too, is if you think that Strus is going to get to the 12 points, let's say, do you think he gets 3 3-pointers? If the answer is no, then we walk away.
I do. I think well, that's what he does. So I would think that he hits 3 threes. Yes.
He's had 3 3-pointers once in this series, but if you go over the last 9 games, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the last 9 games, he's had 3 3-pointers. So I can get you +105 on BetMGM and on DraftKings to get over 2.5 3-pointers from Max Strus.
Okay.
Options.
That. Those are options.
Yeah, I think that's what's important about this. And I think I hope that we're setting this out well for you with this game. You know, you find yourself sometimes you're like, there's only one game that we're really paying, only one NBA game tonight. What are we going to do? It allows you to really dive deeper into player props. You can start looking at first half plays, second half plays. Like if you think, let's say, all right, so let me ask you this. Who do you think is going to come out the gate stronger tonight? Which team?
Boston.
All right. So if you wanted, they moved the line. Yeah, it's -230. Forget it. Boston money line is -230. But I can get, if you think Boston's going to lead by 5 at the half, I can get you to -104.
I'm not, listen, I don't know if I love, I'd dabble with Miami plus the points. I don't know if I necessarily love the game. I kind of like the player props a little bit more. Like I like Strus over 11.5. I could see dabbling with Caleb Martin over his point total prop as well. I think Tatum's going to score tonight. Tatum or Brown, take your pick. 23.5 for Brown, 31.5 points for Jason Tatum. That's where you're looking at the player prop market right now for both of those stars for the Boston Celtics. That's kind of where I lean right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Nick Kostos from You Bet or You Bet is going to join us right around 10:45 this morning. So it'll be good to catch up with Nick. We'll come back. We got to get into LeBron James catching strays from the great Kwame Brown.
Leave the king alone.
We'll get into that. And Kyrie Irving. And we want to hear from Baby J, who put in our chat session. I placed the most degenerate bet of all time yesterday. Baby J, get on the horn. We want to hear exactly what this degenerate bet was that you
I think it was
yesterday.
like Little League Baseball.
Yeah, I want to hear what
he was like walking by a park in the Bronx and saw 2 teams. One team was called the Baby Yankees, and one was called the Baby Sox. And he's like, I can't root for the Red Sox. So he walked over, he spoke to a dad, spoke to a mom, found out a little bit about the Baby Yanks, and then walked over to the Red Sox side and bet them that the Baby Yanks would win. And I think he won. That's my guess. That's the story I have in my head for Baby J.
You might be right. We'll find out. We'll do that next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Thursday. Good Thursday. Thanks for being with us, everybody, right here on the Better Sports Network.
Vegas Raiders have traded up to 35, and they give up the 38th overall pick. In addition, a 5th-round pick goes to Indianapolis as the Colts trade down. The pick is in. And, Coop, your top 2 tight ends, best tight ends available, are now off the board as Michael Mayer is going to be the Darren Waller replacement in Las Vegas, catching balls from Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe somebody else in the future. But Michael Mayer is off the board. The Raiders have traded up, and I always look at this, too, from like dynasty fantasy football standpoint. I always like the guys that are traded up for. Michael Mayer gets traded up for as he is off the board now at pick 35. He goes to the Raiders. How does he fit in this system? Not only with Jimmy Garoppolo, but also Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, some significant pass catchers there, including Hunter Renfrow now.
Eric, I love that you pointed that out because that's the part of the draft that people forget when they're doing their analysis. They think about the draft capital. They think about the landing spot. They forget the draft narrative, right? This proves to us that the Raiders, at the very least, had Michael Mayer as high as Sam Laporta or maybe even higher because they're looking around and saying, all right, that guy's gone. We have to get this guy right now. And this guy probably is a better fit for what Josh McDaniel wants to do. He's used to Rob Gronkowski. He's used to Hunter Henry, these two-way tight ends that can block and run routes down the seam. Sam Laporta is not going to do that. He's only 240 pounds. This guy is your prototypical real-life tight end. That's why a lot of people were saying he's the best real tight end in the draft. Clearly, pass catching is at a premium. That's why Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta went first. But this guy's going to fit really well into that scheme. My question is, when does he become fantasy relevant? Because the vast majority of tight ends that are fantasy relevant are top 2 targets on their team, with Devontae Adams there and Jacoby Myers there,
that's not happening.
and Hunter Renfrow there. I mean, when does it happen, Moose? How long do we have to wait?
Yeah, forever. It might be a while. I mean, when you look at it, but I do think he's a great fit.
Let me talk to you, Vlad, about an award here that I thought was very, very debatable. And it was Cy Young in the National League. In terms of odds, it's Strider at plus 230, Zach Gallen at plus 215, Clayton Kershaw plus 1,000. Clayton Kershaw, to me, his numbers are phenomenal and better, or at least right there with these other two. Strider was my preseason pick to win the award. But Clayton Kershaw at plus 1,000 compared to these other guys with similar numbers in the plus 200s. Like, let's bang on Kershaw and hope he doesn't get hurt, right? Where are you at with that, Vlad?
Yeah, those are great odds. I think the only concern that fantasy players and Dodgers fans had before the season started was innings limitations. Just wanting to make sure that he is fully ramped up for the playoffs. And as some teams do, you sometimes get those phantom IL stints. And we might see that sometime maybe around the All-Star break with Kershaw, just to preserve his arm over the second half of the season. But man, he's a great pick. If you're telling me those are the odds, that's really, really nice. I do love your Spencer Strider pick. I think that's what I would have done in the preseason and bet on him. He's an absolute beast. So, but Clayton Kershaw at plus 1,000, those are phenomenal odds. And you mentioned Zach Gallen, he's incredible too. And looks like Arizona has been in the hunt there in the playoff. Well, so far it's early. Dodgers, maybe Padres will be in competition for that division. But yeah, that's a nice 3-way race, and we might see some other players pop in there.
Miami, Southeast, bring it heat.
Moose and Keith with you on this Thursday right here on the Better Sports Network. Is Nick Kostos will join us right around 10:45 this morning, get into a little bit of baseball at the top of the 11 o'clock hour as well. Mention Kwame Brown because he decided to hit social media yesterday, and we'll play him back to back. The cuts from Kwame yesterday and the criticism of LeBron James. Take it away, Ernie.
You not that, LeBron. I saw last night. You not that, bro. You are a great player. You got good stats. You played longer than anybody. You a bad motherfucker, but you not that. I played with Kobe. I played with Richard Hamilton. He would have got a shot off. Hell, Gilbert Arenas would have got a shot off right there. You didn't even get a shot off. We don't even know if you would have hit the goddamn shot. You ain't even get it off. I used to watch. Where's your little touch moves? You supposed to be the best scorer in the game. You got all these points. Where's your move? Like Jokic can play till he goddamn near 50. Jokic don't even get off the ground. He pick, he roll, he do a little floater. LeBron, why didn't you work on your other shit, bro? I know I'm a bust, so everybody gonna say, "Oh, why you fuck?" Cool. I'm a fan now. I'm a basketball enthusiast. I'm a fan. I played this game and I watched MJ. I watched Kobe work on driving right, getting to a spot. You were supposed to get to a spot right there, brother. You were supposed to bump them. You 6'8". They can't even see the rim when you get up there. Bump that motherfucker going left and rise up. You right there. But you were looking for a bailout again. I've watched so many good players, including myself, work on these same moves. Tracy McGrady, he gonna get to a spot. He gonna rise up. You didn't even rise up because you didn't want the failure of missing that goddamn shot. If you would have missed, you wanted the ref to do something for you. You went and yelling at the goddamn ref once a fucking again. It's a damn shame, man. This is what it looks like when, to me and a lot of other people, when they push your career through. It's guys out there that live for those moments. They live for those moments to score in those moments. Kobe Bryant would have lived for that moment.
I'm sorry. I took a nap. What just happened there?
That was awesome. That's just awesome. It's not boring. It's awesome.
It's awesome hearing from a bum.
He's not a bum. Stop.
He
That's
said
not
it. He
true.
said it himself. He was
He
a
said he was
bust.
he said he was a bust, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kwame Brown,
But
right?
really,
There are a lot of guys. I mean, but there are a lot of guys in the NBA based on circumstances, and and whatever. Yeah, he could say that, but he's not wrong. I mean, some of the stuff that he said is not wrong. He was looking for a bailout call.
I mean, the last play,
not?
Jamal
Does he-
Jamal
does
Murray.
he- does-
Jamal Murray made
does-
a great play.
Can I
He
ask
put his
you,
hands
does
down on him.
does LeBron constantly complaining to the officiating? Constantly.
Every star.
It doesn't matter,
it.
but I'm just asking you, is he constantly complaining?
Yes.
What he said is not wrong. He didn't get a shot off.
Yeah, but the constant fire.
And he said, listen, I'm a basketball fan. You can call me a bust all you want.
Yeah.
You can downplay what I have to say. What he has to say is, do you think Kobe Bryant's getting a shot off?
I don't know. Kobe Bryant didn't play. Kobe Bryant play?
Kobe Bryant would have gotten a shot off.
Okay.
I mean, he would have. Michael would have gotten a shot off. You mentioned Gilbert. I mean, there were plenty of guys would have gotten a shot. LeBron didn't even get a shot off.
Yeah, I was watching The Last Dance last night, actually, and there were a few times that Jordan didn't get shots off. Actually, it's weird. It's weird that, like, Jordan did not hit every game-winning shot in his career. It's so weird that the only thing we remember.
This has nothing to do, but here's the deal is.
But that's what Kwame Brown did. He tried to compare LeBron to every other great star. Every other great star misses shots.
Because he was disappointed in the way that game ended. I mean, he's being open and honest. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I just do. I think it's awesome. Now, like Kwame Brown, he looks like he's in good health and good spirits, and clearly, I think the rant that he went on was 7 minutes in length, and it wasn't.
By the way, Kobe Bryant missed 42 possible game-winning shots. LeBron James has missed 33.
I'm not telling you that but LeBron also hasn't taken as many. That's the criticism. Let's be honest.
No, I think it's
Let's be honest. Let's come on, Keith.
I'm gonna find the number for you.
As big. I understand you love LeBron. I get it. I understand, but LeBron has passed up those shots as well. He has over the course of his career. It's been and that's fine. You want to find the wide open wide open guy, but that has been a criticism over LeBron's career, has it not been?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it has.
So, I mean, we know that Kobe was going to, without a shadow of a doubt, taking the shot. Michael was going to take the shot. They didn't always obviously make the shot. They're not perfect human beings, not perfect basketball players. But the criticism of LeBron at times has been he has passed up those shots and put the pressure someplace else. He didn't want the onus on his shoulders.
I guess. I don't know. I honestly think it was. You know what I think?
I think it's great.
I think hearing from Kwame Brown, who's one of the greatest busts of all time, like it meant nothing to me hearing from him say it.
I don't. However way you want to judge, just because someone did not succeed in the NBA does not necessarily mean his point is not valid.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to say that, I mean, if you're going to, then every pundit that's on TV that criticizes one way or the other, well, they never played the game. And
so, by the way, Kobe has the most game-winning shots of all time. Jordan is 2, and LeBron is 3.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I guess LeBron, he stinks in the clutch.
I'm just telling you, and historically speaking, you agreed with me. He's passed up shots in a
No, he definitely has passed it up.
He didn't get a shot off. I mean, his team got eliminated and got swept and didn't get a shot off. And then
was complaining. He didn't have his legs at that point.
And then was complaining to the officiating afterward they didn't get a foul call and then ran off the court.
No, he didn't complain. He did one really quick, and then if you noticed, because I went back and watched it again because I had a feeling that the world was going to say he complained. Watch. Go back and watch it. I'm serious. He gets stopped by Jamal Murray, didn't get the shot off, goes like this, puts his arms like this, and then immediately puts his hands down like that, realizes that he didn't get the shot off, and that's it. And he went over and hugged Jokic and then walked off.
Yeah. He complained.
Because all he did was he put his hands up for a second and stopped.
Like how did
he didn't do like this or anything.
I said he threw his hands up. I didn't say it was emphatic. He did throw his hands up.
It was very quick. It was a quick throw of hands, and then he moved on.
By LeBron, I'm sorry.
By LeBron, yes. I don't know.
You're right. LeBron can do no wrong. You're right.
No, he can.
Jordan did
how
pass
much
him a
did I
shot to Steve Kerr to win a championship.
and John Paxson. How much did I complain about the LeBron shooting 3-pointers earlier in the series? I told you. I hated it.
I understand that.
Hey, I was texting you. Please stop shooting threes.
But that's fair. That's fair.
So I'm not saying that he's not flawed.
I would hope so. We're all flawed.
Yes, not you. No, not you. But
no, I'm flawed just like
your hair
everybody
looks
else.
nice, though. Hair looks
Thank
good.
you. But
Good hair.
you're a little sensitive about LeBron. Kwame Brown, you're basically calling him a bum.
Yeah.
Why is he
I mean, I just
he was good enough to make it to be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. I know he didn't succeed. I get it in the NBA, but he was talented enough, gifted enough to go through all of that and to be drafted number 1 overall.
Sure. And it didn't work out that well.
It didn't work out. No, it did. But there's a lot of guys that it didn't work out for when it comes to the NBA.
He should also pay attention to the road, man. Stop driving and video. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Well, everyone does that now.
I know.
But I mean, I don't know. I thought it was hysterical. Like, and I thought that was as matter of fact as he said it. Like, it's just so funny.
It's just.
He's bringing up Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah, and that's the problem too. Is like you start bringing up guys that were like borderline guys. Like, don't tell me Rip Hamilton. Like Rip Hamilton was a really solid NBA player.
He's bringing up Agent Zero. Rip Hamilton was better than solid. He was great. I love Rip wearing the mask and all. UConn legend.
He had a very good NBA career. Yes, he did.
Yes, he was a very good player. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
He'll be a Hall of Famer one day.
I guess,
Everyone
right? I know. I think you're in the Hall of Fame.
Everyone
for
gets into the Hall of Fame. It's up in Massachusetts. So
I don't know. I just
love the fact that the last guy I thought I'd wake up on a Wednesday and think about the fact of who was going to be criticizing LeBron James was Kwame Brown.
I mean, I guess if anything, it makes a lot more sense that someone like Kwame Brown would go after one of the best, because I don't think that you would not hear Kevin Durant ripping LeBron like that.
No, Kevin. I mean,
like, you wouldn't hear like an all-time. Any of the all-time greats don't rip the all-time greats. It's usually the guys that their careers didn't go the way that they hoped. How can I get myself back into the limelight? Hey, look, everyone forgot about
Kevin
Kwame
Durant
Brown.
is praying to the good Lord above that Phoenix doesn't hire Doc Rivers.
Or that Kwame Brown decides to talk about him. No, like, actually, that's
Doc
the
never always lands on his feet.
Here it is. Kwame Brown.
Yeah.
No one cares. He's been non-existent. He's basically a footprint in the NBA. Wasn't he the young at the time? He was the youngest ever player drafted into the NBA.
Yeah.
He was the first high school player drafted number 1 overall. It never worked out for him in the NBA. And listen, he played 12 years, whatever it was. I think he averaged like 7 points per game. Had one or two seasons where he averaged double digits.
No, he wasn't good in the NBA.
We all forgot about him. But guess what? By him doing that,
he's gone on these rants before. But
everyone forgot about him. Everyone forgot about him. He's been pointless. He's been useless and pointless. Totally forgotten. And now we're talking about him. So good for you, Kwame Brown. Congratulations. You decided to go after one of the greatest players of all time so that everyone would hopefully remember who you are.
No, I'll remember Kwame Brown. If you follow sports, you'll know who Kwame Brown is.
Yeah, you think of him as someone who didn't live up to any of the hype. That's what you think of. Think about it. He's the first high school player to get drafted number 1. And
he was drafted. He was drafted more a case of based on potential than anything else. He also landed a terrible landing spot.
He went right above Tyson Chandler that year, right?
Yeah. I don't even remember.
I think Chandler was number 2 that year.
You might be right. I mean, that was no. Chandler went 2nd overall when Eddie Curry went 3rd overall, because they were both drafted by the Chicago Bulls. I don't know if that's necessarily the same draft.
2001 NBA draft.
Could be wrong.
Chandler was number 2. Pau Gasol was number 3. Joe Johnson was 4.
Oh, Eddie Curry was drafted.
Eddie Curry was
for Chandler.
So it was Kwame, Chandler, Gasol, Eddie Curry 4, Jason Richardson 5, Battier 6, Eddie Griffin 7, Sagana Diop was 8. Remember him? The kid from Senegal.
Maybe. Yeah, I agree with you. Agent Zero was really good.
Yeah, until he like kind of lost his
still he
marbles a
started,
little bit.
yeah, Father Time
Right.
caught up to him. He had
Well,
the
and
knee
also
injuries.
just bringing guns into like, the arena.
But he had the knee issues and stuff like that when you look at Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah.
But yes, Arenas
Wow, that
was a
was a
guy,
bad
all
draft.
offense, no defense.
That was a horrible draft, 01.
Kwame, I want more. Give me more. Can you break
No.
down, like, can you give me a little, throw him into the TNT crew?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I wonder if that's what he's aiming for. Maybe he's trying to get on TV.
I don't think.
Congratulations, Kwame.
I don't know. Maybe
got
he
put on
is.
TV.
Maybe he is. I just love how open and honest he was. He hates
Vladimir Radmanovic was drafted.
He just hates LeBron James.
Yeah.
He just goes on. He's like, you know what? Let me hop in my car. I'm gonna go on a. What was that Insta Live that he went on yesterday? And just let me just go rip LeBron, and it was everywhere yesterday. Like you couldn't turn off social media where somebody was not retweeting what Kwame Brown had to say.
One season that he averaged over double digits.
Kwame should have brought up Space Jam too.
See, that I would have respected. That would have been funny.
And you're a terrible actor.
Oh
you're
my!
Just awful.
All right, so
you're a
Moose,
terrible actor.
Moose, I will tell you, had he done that, I would have said that was a great rant.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was great nonetheless. I would like more.
Tell him that he wasn't funny in what was the what was the movie with Bill Hader and Amy?
I don't remember.
The Schumer.
Not sure.
LeBron was in it.
No. I have no idea what the name of the movie was.
The name of the
You're
movie?
asking the wrong guy. I have no idea.
Movie was kind of funny. John Cena was funny in that movie, actually.
Okay. I have no idea what movie that is, but yes, I mean LeBron's a
Trainwreck. I think it was Trainwreck.
There you go. So more of Kwame Brown.
No, thank you. No, I'm good.
We'll come back. Nick Kostos will join the program from You Better You
think
Bet.
Nick Kostos
we'll get
Kwame
into
Brown?
the latest and greatest with Kyrie Irving. We'll chat about him a little bit later on the program. Get into a little bit of baseball at the top of the 11 o'clock hour as well. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. Kwame, thank you. Right here, Better Sports.
Boo, Kwame.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glauber, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. And I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it. A guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafalo. So I went with it. Got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave. Because, like, accuracy to me is really important.
Yeah.
So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I'm hunched over. And I just, like, literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Polamalu. And Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Polamalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterward?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafalo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Better Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 4 years, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him. So I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player. So he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft. So he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this. He hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle. So maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Better Sports Network.
All right, Nick Kostos joins us now. We got to work on the audio levels there. From You Better You Bet, Ken Barkley, every single day, Monday through Friday. Good hair day for Kostos as well. He's growing it out for the summer. 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern time on the BetQL Audio Network. Good morning, Nick. How you doing, bud?
What's up, guys? Great to be on with you today. Yeah, this is for my wedding also. I get married a month from yesterday. So growing it up for the wedding as well.
Beautiful. Now, was that by choice? Like, so you made the decision? Did
she decide? I want you to have longer hair for our wedding pictures.
I am way too vain to let anyone else decide my personal appearance. Way too vain. No, yeah, I changed my hairstyle a lot because I'm anal retentive and I'm vain. So it was just like, hey, I kind of want to grow my hair out. I had short sides for a while and just decided to grow it. And I think I'll stop short, Moose, of the look I had when you and I met like 20 years ago, where I looked like an extra from Scarface. It was not a great look for me. So I think we'll keep it like in this range as we move forward.
No, when I first met Nick, he had long hair, and then he was an intern at WFAN, and he went to Fordham. And Nick is awesome, and he does a tremendously successful now, and he's as good of a guy as you'll ever meet. And then I hadn't seen him in a while, and all of a sudden I'm producing Russo's U.S. Open show. And I'm putting Patrick McEnroe on, and all of a sudden I turn around and there's Kostos, and it looked like he just landed from Colombia.
There you go.
Like it looked like he just landed from Colombia, and he's a good-looking guy. His hair was long. I'm like, he's got a nice tan. Like it was like, oh my god, like where were you? Were you in Latin America for the last 3 months?
It would have been better probably where I was in the Bronx, probably, which was not as fun at Fordham. But yeah, those were good memories, man.
Gabe Vincent tonight. Let's talk a little basketball with you, Nick, because just came out about 10 minutes ago. Gabe Vincent's out for the Miami Heat tonight with a sprained ankle. The Heat up 3-1 in that series. You look at it, Nick, nobody wants to believe in Miami. The Celtics have not been a great team at home. We know everyone, basically whenever you talk about this series, we all know Boston's a more talented team. We also know Spoelstra's a better head coach, and Miami has had this unbelievable run so far. What do you do tonight when you look at side total? Any interest in either way when you look at Boston and Miami?
Well, I bet Miami. I bet them every game in the series. Not that I thought they would go up 3-0. Like I didn't bet them on the money line in games 1, 2, and 3. Just that, I feel like the difference between the two teams is not as pronounced as kind of like the betting market thinks. And I'm not saying like the line of the game is wrong. Like Boston should be a big favorite. Like they'll be a favorite likely in game 6 if they win tonight. Probably like a 3-point favorite, I would guess, it open, and then they'll get bet out. They'll be more than 3, and then they'll obviously be a huge favorite if they force a game 7. So I'm not saying like the point spread is incorrect. The spread should be what it is. Just that I want to register my opinion in the market that I think Miami will keep the game closer than that. I know you said Gabe Vincent's out, Tyler Hero's also out, Oladipo's out. Miami's just mentally tougher than Boston. So maybe Boston wins the game tonight, but I'll take Miami to cover. Now, I do want to say Ken Barkley, my co-host on You Better You Bet, said yesterday, just something to consider. And the parallel that he drew was UConn in the NCAA tournament, with the thought being that if UConn ever gets into a close game, like Danny Hurley's going to screw it up, because we've seen that happen a million times with Hurley. And UConn ends up winning a national championship because they are like literally never in a close game, because they blow everyone out that they play in the tournament. So if the game ever is close, right? Boston coming up late, they're up by 3 with a couple of minutes to go against Miami. You obviously have a lot more confidence in the Miami Heat because they're mentally tougher, because they've got Spoelstra as opposed to like the scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, Joe Mazzulla on the sideline, right? But if Boston is going to win, you'd think it's probably going to be like it was in Game 4 when they pulled ahead late and they won by 17. So I think if you like Boston, like lay the number. Otherwise, I think Miami's going to win tonight. So I'll have a Miami spread ticket, and I'll back it up with a money line wager. I think the Heat close them out tonight and advance to the NBA Finals.
Who are some of the players you're looking at tonight for props?
Well, Jimmy Butler, obviously, first and foremost. I bet him the other night over 27.5. He scored 29. I thought he'd have a bigger game, candidly, and a potential closeout. And I think that, my strategy will be to bet the Heat in every game the rest of the series. And I'll bet Butler's points over the rest of the series. My theory is, and I think I'm going to be right, is that at some point, and maybe it's tonight, we are going to get like the Jimmy Butler game. And I believe that that game will result in a Miami win and advancing to the NBA Finals. But I don't think Butler, and he wasn't really a facilitator the other night. He did almost score 30 points. But I think like in order for Miami to really close the series out, Butler's going to have like a 40-point game, especially if Miami's three-point shooting is not going to be what it was earlier in the postseason, where they're literally shooting better from downtown than the Splash Brother Golden State Warriors, right? So they don't make their threes in game 4. They end up losing by 17, where I think the onus is going to be on Butler to kind of take over these games. So obviously, like, it's a very square thing to say. I also think it's going to win. So it's like, who cares? 28.5 is the points prop tonight for Jimmy Butler. I think he scores into the 30s.
Do you like, if we project forward and move forward, Denver, Miami, how do you think that, where do you think the handicap angle is in that series?
Man, I feel like, I feel like I'm probably going to be wrong, and I reserve the right to change my mind. At the end of game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final, Miami beats Boston in Boston for the second straight game. I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, like, I've been watching sports for a long time. Like you guys have, like your audience has, right? We've all been watching this for forever, right? I feel like I know what a championship team looks like, and that doesn't mean I'm always right. I can be wrong all the time like anybody else can. But I'm watching Miami close out Boston on the road to take a 2-0 lead. And I'm thinking to myself, this team's winning the championship. Like, they're just going to win. Who's beating them? Now, we don't see this in the NBA almost ever, where you'll have a run like the Giants had in 2007 and 2011, or like the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals, or one of like maybe like the first LA Kings team that won as an 8 seed in 2012, where we don't see this happen a lot in the NBA, where a team just kind of morphs into something different. I think Miami's morphed into something different here. I think Miami's the best team. Now, Denver obviously had a much better regular season than Miami did, and Denver makes more sense historically as a champion than Miami does. I just think when it comes down to it, the Heat are the best team, and I could be way wrong, and Denver could annihilate them in the NBA Finals. Boston could come back and win the series in 7. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen. When I watch Miami, this is not a scientific handicap from me. This is me watching games saying, I think that this is the best team. I do not think that this team will lose a 7-game series. So I'll be on the Miami Heat in various ways. Now, if people out there want to bet the Heat in the NBA Finals, if and when they get there, just from people I talk to who bet professionally and like move markets, I think there will be a lot of interest in Denver because the number will be shorter than the number was with Boston and Miami, because Miami will have beaten Boston. And I think people will disagree with that. And Denver will get bet at open. So if you like Miami in that series, I would wait a little bit. You'll have a lot of time, obviously, before game 1 next Thursday night, depending on how the series goes. I would wait to bet the Heat if you like them. And if you like the Nuggets in the series, I would bet them sooner rather than later once that market opens.
When you look at the Denver Nuggets and what they did in the Western Conference, were you surprised at how they kind of handled everybody that they played against?
Am I surprised that they won? No. Am I surprised they swept the Lakers? Definitely. I'm not surprised that they beat Minnesota, obviously. Suck. Not surprised that they beat Phoenix because, as we saw, Phoenix has absolutely zero depth once you get past Durant and Booker, and you literally needed them to make every shot and like a role player to like Landry Shamet to make every shot. And Monty Williams was overmatched. So I'm not surprised they beat Phoenix. I'm not surprised they beat the Lakers. I am surprised in the manner in which they did it. And all the games were great. It's probably the most entertaining 4-game sweep in the history of sports. Every game was electric, and every game came down to it, and every game was really entertaining. The Nuggets had that kind of air of inevitability, like the Thanos line from the Marvel movies, right? Where, the second half starts in game 4, and the Lakers are up 15, and I bet the Lakers in the game. And LeBron just is gassed, and he's not shooting, and Denver makes a shot. Lakers come down. Hachimura misses. Denver goes down, makes a shot. Dennis Schroeder misses. Denver goes down, makes a shot. And it's like, okay, like this is just going to be what it is. Like Denver's just going to win. The Nuggets were inevitable. So a really great run by them. I'm not surprised they're here. I am surprised that the Lakers couldn't even take a game off of them.
Football wise, Nick, I know you and Kenny have been breaking it down, looking at, look ahead lines and futures markets and everything like that. What's your best play? Whether look at season totals, what's your best NFL future bet that you absolutely adore and love right now?
Yeah, I love the Green Bay Packers this year. And it's not that I think the Packers are definitely going to be good. It's just they're the type of team that I think is worth betting on. There are a lot of teams in the NFL that have a win total, right? Let's take Seattle, for example. Seattle's win total is 8.5 this year. Like, is there a world where the Seahawks go 14-3? Like, sure, like it could happen. Anything could happen. Is there a world where they go 4-13? Sure, like Geno could get hurt, whatever. I think most likely, though, they're going to win like 9 games or 10 games or 8 games or like 7 games, where it's hard like to make a case for that team winning 14 or winning 4. The Packers, if Jordan Love is bad, they could go 4-13. They could be, if he sucks, they're going to be bad, like period.
Yes.
But if he's good in a bad conference, in an extremely winnable division, why can't they win 12 games? And I take flack from people for saying this. I think the Packers are going to have a better record this year than the Jets after the trade with Rodgers. The Jets are better than the Packers. I'm not saying Green Bay's better. The Jets also play murderer's row in the AFC and specifically in that division in the AFC East. And the Packers are going to have an easier go of things in the NFC North. Now, I happen to think Jordan Love is going to be pretty good. Is he Aaron Rodgers? No, not yet, at least. We'll see. But LaFleur is a great coach and has shown that he can get the job done and he can win games, at least in the regular season. The talent is there on defense. Can they put it together to win 8 games? Like, they don't have to win 11 games to win this bet. 7.5. I love the over on Green Bay. They have the longest odds to win the NFC North, plus like 400, the Packers to win the division. Really? If Love's good, they're winning that division. So I think like being bullish on the Packers. And also, if they go 12-5, guess who's winning coach of the year? Matt LaFleur. It's done. It's
No
done.
doubt. No
He's
doubt.
going to get the
Especially-
credit if that happens.
You trade an all-time great quarterback, and you go out and win 12 games, win the division. LaFleur, you're right. He's going to win.
Or win 11 games, and they win the division. He's winning coach of the year.
How do you handicap a team like the 49ers, considering we don't fully know the quarterback situation?
Well, I think they're a really interesting one, right? And I think that's kind of reflected in some point spreads over the course of the season. Like, week 1 against the Steelers, they're a 3-point road favorite in that game. I think that if we knew for sure, it would be Purdy. Like, it would be over 3, and not like a lot over 3, but I think they'd be more than a possession, more than a field goal. I think the right number there would be 3.5. And then if you look like later in the season, like when they play the Philadelphia Eagles in the rematch of the NFC Championship game, the point spread is the same as it was in the NFC Championship game. So I guess the thought is that as we get later into the season, the quarterback situation will have stabilized, and we'll know like they're more of a known quantity at that point than they will be early in the season. Now, Kyle Shanahan can say whatever he wants, and actually maybe he's right that Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, they can all run the offense. They can all succeed. It's his offense. And to be fair, like a lot of quarterbacks succeed in that offense that you think wouldn't otherwise. So I think they're a really, really tough team to bet against. I also don't know if I would bet on them. If their win total is 10.5 or 11, if it's Purdy, do we trust him to get it done over a full season? I wouldn't bet against it. But I also wouldn't bet on it. So, Keith, they're a team that I like staying away from right now in the futures market.
What about in the AFC? When you look at a team, anybody, you've got obviously Bills, Bengals, Chiefs are going to be one of those teams. Everyone seems to love the Jacksonville Jaguars, very winnable division coming off the year last year. Throw Calvin Ridley into the offense. How about an AFC team, Nick?
Sure, I'll give you one positive and then I'll give you one negative. And the positive is has kind of gone away a little bit. Like Lamar signs his deal and the Ravens win total is 8.5. And it's like, okay, like this is actually like the stupidest thing of all time. Like really, like with Harbaugh and Lamar, the win total is going to be 8.5. Now it's like 10.5. Like that's right. So we are right on there. I'm very bullish on Baltimore to at least have a lot of regular season success this year. When you get to the postseason, it's sort of a different thing. And I think you trust Burrow and the Bengals more than you would Lamar and the Ravens come January. But regular season, Ravens are going to be awesome. The Bengals are going to be awesome. I think the Steelers have an opportunity to be maybe not awesome, but good. Cleveland is one of these teams where if Deshaun Watson's awesome and he rediscovers his Houston form, they could win 14 games. If he's great, because the roster is really good and Stefanski's a good coach. If Watson plays like he did last year, they could win 5 games because the rest of the division's awesome. And the AFC as a whole is awesome. Something to consider as far as Lamar is concerned, and he said this yesterday at OTAs, that the offense is going to be different this year. Greg Roman's not the coordinator anymore. Todd Monken is. Monken has coordinated NFL offenses, coordinated the Georgia offense the last 2 years when they won back-to-back titles. He runs like an air raid offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot more this year. Just something to consider if you're looking to bet Lamar in futures markets. This is going to be like Lamar potentially throwing for a lot of yards this year. This is going to be a modern offense for the Ravens. Just something to think about. So bullish on Baltimore. I'm not bullish on the Bills. And I love Buffalo, and this has turned into on social media, oh, you hate the Bills. Shut up. I don't. I lost a lot of money last year betting on them because I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. Just that in that division, if Tua stays healthy, someone tell me how Miami doesn't win like 13 games.
Yeah.
Fangio's running the defense. You bring Ramsey in. Tons of talent on both sides of the ball. I love Mike McDaniel. Aaron Rodgers is obviously with the Jets, like a Super Bowl ready roster. And now you insert Aaron Rodgers into the mix. Everyone wants to like count out the Patriots, and maybe they're going to be bad. It's also Belichick. And now they have like a legitimate offensive coordinator as opposed to like pencil behind the ear doofus defensive coordinator running the offense. So O'Brien's running the offense there now. Like they're not going to be terrible. It's a really tough division. And I look at the Bills roster and I don't see a ton of talent outside of like a top end talent like Allen and Diggs and Miller if he's healthy and he had a season ending injury last year. Where's the pass rush coming from? Maybe Dalton Kincaid is the answer in the slot. He's also a 24-year-old tight end, and tight ends normally don't produce at that level. I'm just being honest, as rookies. So
they also can't run it.
And everyone's just kind of like, okay, Buffalo's going to roll over everyone again. Are they? I am in on Buffalo to miss the playoffs at about plus 200 right now.
Wow. All right, that'll make some of our Jets fans in our chat happy. So Baby J, one of our loyal guys out here, wrote in here, and I'll read this to you, Nick. I need to know how many wins he thinks the Jets going to have, and I think it's basically going to be whether or not he takes his congratulations back from what he wrote earlier to you about your wedding coming up.
10?
10, Baby J. Does Nick still get a congratulations on that? I
But
think
like
10 sounds about right.
But like Baby J, let me offer some context here. Like these things are not in a vacuum. If the Jets played in the NFC South, they could win like 13 games.
Yeah.
They're in the AFC East. Like you play Miami twice, you play the Patriots twice, you play the Bills twice. Like I think they're going to lose on opening night. And that's not even like, and I know I just said like I don't love Buffalo this year. If I had to bet that game, I'd bet Buffalo. Like that's game 1 for Rodgers, and there's continuity with Buffalo. Like maybe I like the Jets over the scope of a full 17-game season more than Buffalo, but in week 1, I don't think I would bet the Jets, and I reserve the right to change my mind. So I think 10 wins sounds about right for the Jets. But if you're the Jets, it's like just get in the tournament and then just see what happens from there. Like you don't need me to say they're going to win 14 games. You need the Jets to win like 10 games and get into the dance, and then see what happens with Rodgers.
All right, Nick. Last one is the wedding. All right, you're inching closer and closer to the date. Have you been a hands-on groom where you've played a role in every single decision that's been made in the wedding process? Where are you guys going for your honeymoon? Have you been standoffish? It's her day. Where have you been here as a groom?
Yeah, I am hands-on. My hand is on a pen that goes down onto a check, and I sign my name on it. So I'm hands-on. I'm hands-on all right. No, basically, we've entered the point in the process where my job, I have 2 jobs. Number 1, sign checks. Number 2, say yes.
Yep. There you go.
And honeymoon, where are you guys going for your honeymoon?
We are going to Italy and Greece. So spend a week in each, which is
that is tremendous.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. I'm going to be in Italy and Greece in August.
Great. Yeah, it's I've never been to either, and I am
Me neither.
Italian and Greek, so it's pretty lame of me. I'm about to turn 40, so it'll be fun. It's a big month for me next month. Married, 40 years old. Yeah, Moose just turned 50 last week.
I did not
These are
turn
milestone
50.
birthdays for everybody.
55.
I turned
55.
47.
55.
It's okay, Moose. You look good, buddy.
I like to routinely remind him how much younger I am than him.
I understand. Thank you. Thank
But
you.
Keith, how old are you?
I'm 43.
Yeah, you're not that young.
I'm a lot younger than him. Hey, listen, he was graduating high school. I was entering high school. I'm just saying, you know.
Yes, I know.
And I was in grade school when that was happening.
Oh, you guys are
fair enough.
Nick, we love you, brother. Have
got
a good Thursday, man. Good luck with everything. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Wishing everybody minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. Enjoy the holiday weekend.
You as well.
Later, Nick.
Good Memorial Day weekend. Nick Kostos, you better, you bet. Ken Barkley, BetQL Audio Network, 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Everyone busts my balls about my age. It really is. It's crazy.
Oh, you know. Hey, listen. You met Nick when he was probably about 19 years old, I guess? 20 years old?
Something like that. 19, 20, yeah.
Yeah.
I've known Nick. I've known Nick a long time. So
I met Nick in 2013 or 14 at Sirius.
Oh,
that was the first time I met him when he was producing Shine, and I was doing updates at Sirius XM. So I would go in and out of that studio every once in a while.
Yeah.
He was always a good dude.
Nick's good man. Good man.
Yep.
Let's welcome aboard right now John Bollman. And he's a baseball analyst for CBS Sports, and he joins the program now. John, good morning. Mark Malusis, Keith Arizari with you. We appreciate this time on this Thursday right before the big Memorial Day holiday weekend.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Thank you for having me on.
John, do you have any good plans for the summer? Our previous guest Nick he's going on his honeymoon to Italy and
Getting
Greece.
married.
So he's getting married, he's turning 40. You have anything that you can top him with that?
I can't match that at all. I will be doing baseball all summer. Maybe we'll go on a vacation in the winter.
John, what have you learned here early on when you look at the baseball season? Because talking to a number of baseball people over the years, they kind of look at Memorial Day weekend as a benchmark, as whether they're not going to overreact early on, one way or the other, positive or negative. But kind of look at this weekend as kind of okay, let's kind of take in what we've seen here, what we're going to do, and what this summer is going to look like. What have you seen here as the holiday weekend is approaching? What's your couple big takeaways so far through baseball?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in baseball world, we always say don't panic the first 1-2 months of the season. Well, Memorial Day is about the time when you can start being allowed to panic. So there's some teams that have stood out to me. I mean, I think the main one is the Cardinals with how bad they started. I believe it was 13-25, something like that. But they've been playing a lot better lately. They're only 5.5, 6.5 games out of the division lead still. So the NL Central is not going to be great this season. So they still have a chance there. Another big takeaway would be the Padres. Their very slow start, how bad they are with runners in scoring position and runners on base. It's honestly, I think that they should get a little bit better. They should regress to their mean of, 90 something wins, but at the same time, these are not good numbers to be really bad at. They also they are going to get Manny Machado back from the IL. That will be some help, but they really need some guys to start stepping up there. And then I think the biggest takeaway would also be the AL East. Just talking about them in general, they've got 5 very good teams. They're probably going to have 4 teams make the playoffs. So just how dominant they've been.
All right, let's stay with the AL East since that's the last one you mentioned there. We can always double back there. All right, so the Rays, historically great start, 36-15. Break down each one for me. So the Rays on the scale of this is what they are. The Orioles on the scale of they're on the pace for what I think 106 wins. And then you got Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays. So how do you kind of talk about all 5 of those?
Honestly, I do think all 5 of them are really in the spots that they could be in by the end of the season. I think there could be some jostling, but the records overall will be the same. That being said, I don't think the Orioles are going to win 106 games. They're due for a little bit of regression, but I do think they are very well in themselves to finish 2nd, 3rd in that division this season. The big question mark there was their bullpen, and their bullpen is now one of the best in the league. So they're playing very well. The Red Sox, I think, would be towards the bottom. The Yankees are starting to get healthy, so that's why we're seeing them rise. I guess the big one there is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays all the way at the bottom. They've lost 8 of their last 10 now. They're kind of free-falling a bit. They will turn it around. I mean, all these teams that are this good will turn it around. But right now, it's ugly to watch them play baseball.
Well, yeah, because just to follow, it's crazy, right? 26-24. Blue Jays are playing bad baseball right now, but if they were in the Central, they'd be in first place. So there you go.
Well, I mean, what do you make of? I mean, when you look at that Central, John, it's like the division nobody wants to win. I mean, it's just kind of like a lot of either decidedly average or bad baseball. What do you make of the American League Central?
Yeah, I'd say even Central both ways. But,
yes.
But
in the National League, it seems like everybody. I mean, it seems like everybody and their mother I talked to about the NL Central seems to love the St. Louis Cardinals. It's the Cardinals. It's Cardinals.
It's just like the assumption they'll figure it out.
Right, correct.
Yeah, and that the rest of the division is kind of going to stay where they are. But yeah, the AL Central, the thing is we usually see the AL Central start slow because it's all very cold weather cities, harder to hit in the cold weather. It's less fun to play baseball in the cold weather, frankly. So we usually see a lot of those teams start slowly and they play worse at home, and that's supposed to be a big advantage, right? So this isn't completely new, but at the same time, I don't think any of these teams are going to get exceedingly better than the rest of the teams. I do still think the Guardians are going to win the division, but they've been really bad to start. I think the winner of that division is honestly going to win 84, 85 games.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, like Moose and I both came in thinking the Guardians would figure this out. Now, listen, the Guardians are about to get all their pitchers back, right? Like that's a thing that a lot of people haven't necessarily spoken about. So yeah, 21, 28. I mean, it's funny. You talk about what is it? So 162, take away like basically 112, 113 games all these teams have left. Still a lot of ground to make up, but a lot of time as well.
100%.
All right. What about when you look at a team that struggled like the San Diego Padres, John? When you look at them so far, is it a time to panic?
Trade everyone. No, I'm just kidding.
I would say it is a little bit time to panic there. Mainly because that division is so good, right? That's a division where you can't fall behind. You can't have a bad month, or you go so far behind that it's almost an insurmountable lead to catch up to. I mean, the Dodgers are a very good baseball team, and they're going to continue to be a very good baseball team. So the Padres can't have these slumps for this long. That being said, where they're struggling is fixable. Like they're not hitting with runners on base, and they're not hitting with runners in scoring position. Usually that evens out over a season, right? Currently they're on pace to be literally the worst team in Major League Baseball history, hitting and batting average with runners in scoring position. So I don't think that's sustainable whatsoever. I do think they will turn it around. Also, I mean, you can't really use the cold weather excuse in San Diego, but it is a bit of an excuse when they're playing on the road in other places. It's still cold in other cities, tougher to hit, not going to score as many runs. But I do think the runners in scoring position thing will turn around, and that should lead to more wins.
John, from a betting standpoint, are you team fade the Oakland Athletics and just kind of figure out whoever's playing them, let's find an angle for that squad?
Honestly, I'm not much of a run line guy just because I don't like how there's no motivation to win by more than one run. But I mean, the Athletics started 10-40 and then started looking into that a little bit more. And even if you think about it, if you bet them minus 200 on the money line every game, you're still very profitable. So it's something that I've honestly started to think about more, kind of just blindly fading the A's every game because they're likely going to continue on this pace. To be honest, I don't see them getting too much better. So I do think that's a successful strategy for the rest of the season.
John, when you worked for the Blue Jays, were you in their analytics department?
I was in player development and high performance. So yes, I was in the analytics department as well. A little bit of everything, essentially.
All right. So I'm just curious, because from the outside looking in, where do you think the right balance is when you look at the way analytics needs to be used? Because I've, chat with you or others throughout Major League Baseball, and it's not like I'm against analytics. But I also think sometimes that teams get a little skewed with their decision making and how they use and decipher the information in front of them. So, where do you think the right balance is for teams using the analytics?
Yeah, and it's a great question. And if I knew the perfect answer, then I'd probably be a GM or a CEO somewhere, right? But I personally think you can't have one without the other. I think you need to have a healthy balance of both. I think you need the analytics to tell you a lot of things, and I think you need the eye test to tell you a lot of things, and kind of the experience in baseball to tell you certain things as well. So I think being able to use them both is ideal. And that's kind of what I did with my role at the Blue Jays. Is I was kind of a bridge between the analytics guys and, say, the coaches or the players. So that's kind of how I would look at it. And, the certain players that, would like to be told these sorts of things, be talked about, say, analytics directly, or certain players, maybe you'd want to talk to their coach and tell them what you think so their coach can relay it to them. So I do think you need a healthy balance of both. And I think even to be successful as a player, you need a healthy balance of both as well.
For sure. I just want to follow up, John, but if you are looking at, say, evaluating a player for you, when you're looking at a player and say you look at the analytics and you're like, oh, he's great, or I really, think it's going to be a positive. Then you watch and you're like, oh, I'm not so sure. In the end, from your perspective, though, which one would have the final say? The stats on the page or your eyeball test?
Personally, I trust my eyes. I believe that I know I grew up in baseball, and I've seen so much baseball that I would trust my eyes and my brain say more than a number. That being said, I also have a unique experience with analytics. So I kind of know exactly what to look for there. But I think you always got to go back to your eyes, right? Especially these people who have been in baseball for so long. Maybe somebody who hasn't had as much experience or watched as much baseball as me would go straight to the numbers. But I personally like my eyes.
How much do you look at like the body? So like we hear in football, right? You always look at like the butt, the hips, the thighs, right? Basketball, young basketball players, where do their arms hang? And you'll know if they're going to end up gaining another 2-3 inches of height, right? So with baseball, how much do you look at bodies?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think a lot more so with high school players. And you kind of have to be really right there. But I think a lot of the words they use are their body would fill out for baseball. I personally, I think that's about as far as I would get to it, is that they would fill out, because at the same time with the training methods nowadays, we could pretty much turn any player into, a power hitter or a contact hitter. You could be jacked,
launch angle,
be fast. Exactly. Launch angle. You can change a lot of things about a player in today's age through training and methods there. So I would definitely like to look to see if a player is going to fill out, but I don't look too far into it.
Can I let me just follow one more. So in your time with the Blue Jays, and you do not need to give names of players, like how many times did you see a player, or you almost like vouch for a player kind of thing, and they just totally failed miserably? Like it didn't work out.
A lot more often than people think, right?
That's what I was guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, because prospects don't all work out, right? Only a very few make it to the majors, and only a very few are actually successful in the majors. So honestly, it's more of like a touting the ones that you're successful with than bringing up the ones that you fail, because there are more ones that you fail with. So I think it's definitely more like that.
Was there ever one where you're like, I can't believe this guy didn't work out? Like I really would have bet the farm that this guy was going to work.
So maybe a little bit Jordan Groshans. I don't know if you guys knew him. He was our first round draft pick in 2018 when I was there. And he was traded to the Marlins somewhat recently, and then recently traded, I believe it was to the Twins. But basically he was drafted out of high school, lost all of his power, which is a weird thing to happen. So I was very flabbergasted by that. He just doesn't have any base hits anymore. I will say the opposite way, Alejandro Kirk. So Alejandro Kirk is a guy that you would see. You wouldn't exactly think, okay, this guy's going to go to the majors, right? Well, he was on our GCL team, which is the lowest of the low in terms of minor league teams. And I would be watching him every day, watching him take batting practice. And I'm telling you, his bat was the closest I've ever heard to Vladimir Guerrero's batting practice, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And Vladdy Jr.'s batting practice is like one of the top, I'd say 5-10 in the major leagues. Like the sound that comes off his bat is completely different. And Alejandro Kirk, when he would be playing on the side fields, that is the sound that you'd hear off his bat. So I actually thought I had him the highest ranked of all the members in our organization, and he ends up making it to the majors, and he's going to be a good player.
All right. I've got two for you, John, based on this experience. I love this conversation. Number one is, you mentioned what stats to look at based on your experience with the Blue Jays in terms of the important ones when you're valuing players. What stat do you look at, or what combination of stats do you look at?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think it depends whether I'm evaluating like a player within my organization, or if I'm doing it, say, from my job now and looking at it if I think a guy's going to get his over total base props.
All right, so say minors, because you see guys that have gaudy stats and then they come up to the majors and whatever. Like what should the baseball fan be looking at when you're looking at minor leaguers and stats?
So there are a lot of analytics that we use there. That's where I would like to see like heat maps, in zone swing percentage, out of zone swing percentage, in zone strike percentage, out of zone strike percentage. You look at splits by pitch. You look at splits by speed, the mile per hour of the pitch. There are so many ways you can go about it. Hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, left, right, center, where you're hitting the ball. Hard hit balls, 95 mile per hour plus. So there are a lot of things there, advanced analytics that I would look at, but the main statistic I would use overall is just weighted on base average. I think that's the best one to use. I know a lot of people like to use OPS or an OPS plus, or even weighted runs created now, but I think weighted on base average is the perfect one. And then using that combined with a slash line, I'm always old school as well. Just looking at a guy's slash line, you can learn a lot as well. So I'm a type of person that thinks any statistic is good. I would just need to know how to filter certain ones out.
All right, John, I'm going to ask you about 3 players. They're all in the Mets, and get your thoughts on them, because it's been a huge. The Mets came in with high expectations this year. The veteran players have not really done particularly well. But I'm going to ask about the 3 guys that have been called up by the Mets. And I know you're smiling. You know who
I think I know who you're going to ask about.
Right. So I'm going to ask you about Alvarez, Vientos, and Beatty. Of those 3 players, who has the highest upside? Like, who are you most excited about?
Well, it's hard to tell when Buck rarely plays these 3 guys.
Which is frustrating, John. They've got to play. The other guys aren't good.
My Mets fan friends say the exact same thing every day, and I'm like, I
can't watch Vogelback anymore. Like, I just can't.
You need some youth in a lineup to inject some youth, some energy. And I think that's why you got to have these guys in the lineup. But honestly, I mean, Francisco Alvarez is hard to pass up. Brett Beatty, both of them hit the ball so hard, make hard contact very frequently. But the thing about Francisco Alvarez is he's taken massive strides already in his first few weeks in the majors in terms of being behind the plate. I was reading something the other day about how Mets pitchers are very happy pitching to him, and they were actually upset if he wasn't behind the plate for their start day, which is something you very rarely hear about for a rookie catcher this early in the majors. And then on top of that, he's hitting bombs the way that he's doing, hitting it 95 plus. That hard hit percentage is way up. So he really struggled to start. And I think that's when he was first called up as a rookie, which is very understandable as a catcher because you have so much to think about. You're not just thinking about hitting. But I think he's got the highest upside, and he would excite me the most.
Take away superstars from the list. So like the Otanis, the Judges, the Acuñas of the world. Who would you pay your own money to go to a park and watch play?
Oh, that's a good one.
So like relatively young would be someone we'd probably be looking into in this situation, and someone that, might be an all-star sooner rather than later, but maybe hasn't been yet.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Trey Turner, but I feel like he's too much of a superstar now.
Yeah, I think Team USA kind of launched him over the top.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a superstar now after that.
Him now because of his performance, but yes.
Hey, hit a big home run last night.
Well, the good thing about him is he's saying the same thing. He feels completely lost, and he will turn it around. But I'd say it's got to be one of these hard hitting fast guys. Maybe like Jorge Mateo. He's really slowed down a bit, or like a Cedric Mullins. I think the Orioles are pretty exciting.
Mullins. I think he's like the slept on just guy. I love watching him play baseball.
Yep, just a stud, sits there top of the lineup. I mean, he's a very good player. But
Plus
I think it's got to be
for over 1.5 total bases today for Cedric Mullins. I like that one anyway.
There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to be a high scoring game for sure. But yeah, I think Cedric.
What about pitchers? What about pitchers?
Oh. So I'll go with someone who I saw. Actually, let's go with Nate Pearson. So I saw him tons with the Blue Jays, and he was going to be one of the best starters for the Blue Jays, top of the rotation guy, but he would just keep getting injured. But he's got 100. I've seen him throw 103 before. The dude's got nasty stuff, filthy curveball, filthy changeup. He's got a 2-something ERA. He's finally stayed healthy for a little bit. 2-something ERA out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays. If he can stay healthy, I mean, he could literally transfer to the starting rotation and still be this good. I'm telling y'all, and he would be he's a very exciting guy to watch. So I think he would be a bullpen guy there.
John, last one for me would be Ohtani. Based on the fact of your work in baseball, what you do now for CBS Sports, and you've been in the game, can you encapsulate to just how unique Shohei Ohtani is as a talent? And do you think we'll ever see anybody replicate what he's been able to do? Because people talk about his athleticism like it's Bo Jackson type of athleticism. Can you encapsulate just what we're all witnessing with Ohtani with the Angels?
Yeah, I think it's it's very taken for granted because we do see a lot of two-way players, right? But we don't see a lot of two-way players that are this good at hitting and this good at pitching. And that really gets to the majors, I should say. I guess personally, I see a lot of two-way players, but the public doesn't. because they
Right, you
usually
see
get
it
to
on the
double.
high school
Exactly,
level, yeah.
exactly. Because you see them go into college, they dominate two-way. You see them go in the minors, they're drafted as two-way guys, and they're drafted. They're like, all right, we'll let you do both. But you see one of side kind of get better than the other, or you see both sides kind of struggle because you're spending all of your time on one or all of your time on another. It's really hard to split your times, like getting better at both aspects of the game. You've got to go to all hitters and all pitchers meetings. It's essentially doubling up your time, and you're already putting in 12-hour days. So it's really, really hard to be as good as he is. Also, I think we have to realize where he was when he first came over. He wasn't this guy who just went out and was going to be an automatic MVP immediately. Like, he wasn't that good of a pitcher originally, and he was a solid hitter, but he wasn't as good as he is now. So he's done an amazing job to get to where he is now in the majors. And I do think the Bo Jackson comparison is legitimate, because we will never see somebody this athletic, this good, and this versatile ever again. And he's literally the bar now, right? Before it was Babe Ruth is the bar. Well, it's who's the next Ohtani now.
Does Shohei open the door now for colleges? Insert name of player, Dave Smith, making up name, goes to LSU, and he's a star shortstop and he's a star pitcher, and doesn't now have to choose between those two, and then the majors maybe don't make him choose either?
It's a great, great point. And I think nowadays, in the age of versatility in baseball, I think even more we'll see these teams try to hit on these two-way guys, or maybe give them an extra season to keep going as two-way guys to see if they can get through their struggles and be both ways, because we can see how much a guy who can both pitch and hit can have an impact on the roster. So having a guy that's that versatile is kind of like a cheat code. And we will see a lot of college players. First one that comes to mind, Caden Grice on Clemson. He had a grand slam yesterday. He's probably going to start tomorrow. But these guys are really, really good at baseball. So I definitely do think it'll open some doors. And thanks to Ohtani for doing that.
All right, let me sneak in one betting one with Ohtani then. So assuming that Ohtani, he's the odds-on favorite to win the AL MVP. Let's say, for argument's sake, the Angels stumble. He gets traded at the deadline to the National League, which means he can't win the American League MVP or the AL Cy or anything like that. Where would you pivot? Because we did this yesterday on MLB Network, where Judge is like 8 to 9 to 10 to 1. You got Yordan at 25 to 1. Wandy and Randy Arozarena in Tampa are both 30 to 1. Guys like that. Would you have a pivot if Ohtani is no longer in the American League?
That's a tough one, to be honest, because I haven't really thought about it, because I figured he would be the odds-on favorite. And then the thing about the AL side is you've got Judge right behind him. So as long as those two guys stay healthy, you're not going to really find any good value on the AL side. So that one I'd probably stay away from, just because I do think Judge would be the winner. If he's likely going to stay healthy, and the way that he's heating up right now, I think that it would be his to lose.
John, I just got to ask you before we bid you adieu. Behind you, over your left shoulder, is all these baseballs. Because it's tremendous. I love it. I just got to know exactly what the backstory is. Yes, that's awesome. So what are all those?
I'll bring out my favorite one. So they all have their own stories, but this one is signed by Pete Rose. I don't know if y'all can see this.
Yes.
Get closer.
Yeah.
It says, "John, I'm sorry I bet on baseball." Signed by Pete Rose. So love this baseball. Super cool. This is one of my favorites up there. I've also got a Luis Gonzalez signed ball the year that he walked off Mariano Rivera in the World Series. I got
thank you.
6. I got it understandable, not for some people. I got it 6 months before he did that at some baseball camp by answering a question. One of my coaches was a minor league coach, just happened to be friends with him. So I'd say those are my two coolest baseballs, but all of them have their own story, and there are a lot of cool ones up there.
Can I just the backstory for the Rose Bowl? So can you tell us a little bit, because I've never seen that before. I'm sorry I bet on baseball, Pete Rose. How exactly did you get him to write that on the ball?
So it's actually not as interesting as you'd think. It's kind of sad, to be honest. Since he's been exiled from baseball, he doesn't make any profits from it, right? So he kind of has to go on his own to keep making money. So he does all these shows, and he goes on a lot of shows, signs a lot of things, but that's basically what his business is you can get him to sign pretty much anything, do pretty much everything. I remember the baseball meetings a couple years ago, baseball winter meetings. He was taking pictures for $15, signing balls like this. I already had this ball at the time, but I got this ball a few years before that, and it was my dad got it for me for my birthday, and you could submit something. It was like $120, sign this and say this, and so that's how I got it. But I guess the overall story is kind of sad. But I personally love Pete Rose. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think the MLB did him dirty. So
yeah,
I love it.
It's time. I mean, I agree with you. I do think it's time for him to be up in Cooperstown in the Baseball Hall of Fame. John, you're great. We appreciate it. Great work on CBS Sports. Awesome stories about backstories, Blue Jays, and evaluating players. Like I love that kind of stuff. It's awesome. I know Keith does as well. Thanks for the time.
Did you see me I got like nerdy with it. I love it. Yeah.
Have a great holiday weekend, John. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, no, thanks guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
John Bollman from CBS Sports.
That was one of the best spots we've done in the 9 months. That was what, honestly, like I know sometimes you just think right away. That was one of my favorite spots we've done in the 9 months of the show.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a little bit different than what we normally do.
Well, yeah, it was just, I love listening to guys that evaluate baseball players, what they view. And how they view it, and what they look for. So because you learn something, you pick up on something. So like when you're watching, a minor leaguer seeing, for your respective team, and you're thinking, okay, well, let's drill down and look at some interesting things of just how good that player is. And how is it going to translate to the major league level? Yeah. So, yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome. I had to ask about that in the background.
Oh, that was good by you, yeah.
It just caught my eye. And I was like, that has to be. It's not like just random baseballs. Like, if you work in the game, and he did with the Toronto Blue Jays for a number of years, like it has to be a case of each and every one of those baseballs has got a story. Yeah. Which is awesome.
And the body type thing, and the reason why, I don't know if I've ever talked about this with specific baseball people, but so with football, I remember one of the early times of working with Phil Simms, like him talking about people's legs. Like that's how you can kind of tell.
They like quarterbacks to have a big ass.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like, and we've heard that before. And then I still remember to this day when I was at ABCD camp and I'm sitting there with Chris Duhon and Dwight Howard walks by us. Right. And at the time, Dwight Howard was known, but not like known. And Chris looks at me, he goes, you know him? And I'm like, yeah, it's Dwight Howard, right? And he's like, yo, that kid will never play college basketball. And at the time was not the number one ranked player or anything like that, right? He was, I think, going into his sophomore year of high school. And I'm like, why? Like I saw him play yesterday. He looked good, but he wasn't, I was like, he wasn't LeBron, right? He wasn't, these other guys. And he's like, look where his arms are. And I looked at him standing, his arms, because at the time he's like 6'7". His arms were like down to his calves almost.
Unbelievable.
Like it was clear that he was going to grow another 4 or 5 inches when you look at that. And he did. He became a 7-footer and he became the number 1 overall pick and he became Defensive Player of the Year multi-time. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer sometime. And he's better than Kwame Brown.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We got to touch upon Kyrie Irving. We'll get into that.
Your boy.
We'll get into Kyrie. We'll do that next. It's Moose and Keith with you on this Thursday. Thanks for being with us right here on the Better Sports Network.
Bye weeks are so incredibly important in baseball because you can't change your lineup. You can't grab somebody off the waiver wire. You don't make changes. So you've got to be prepared. If you're taking 4 quarterbacks because you want to be sure you got to be very methodical about the schedule, especially the bye weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point by you because I don't, in redraft leagues and in especially in dynasty leagues, I don't give a damn about bye weeks in a dynasty league. I'm taking the talent that I need, especially if it's like a startup dynasty league, man. And so, that's created situation. Matt Deutsch's league last year, I had a glut of, it was like week 9, I seem to remember. It was the bye week of death for me. Like, it's a 2 quarterback league. I had a bunch of QBs. They were like all on the bye at the same week. It was insane. At best ball, you've got to really be strategic about that. And it's almost more important than the statistics that you might put next to the player as the bye week to let you know, no, I can't go there because I got this guy, and this guy, and this guy already.
You have an opportunity to get a quarterback you want, but your first 2 have the same bye week. You just can't do that to yourself. You have to be thinking it through. I do pay attention to bye weeks in my drafts. I just do. It makes me a lot less of a struggle bus situation when it comes to Bimageddon. I don't want to have 4 players. I don't want to have all my wide receivers and just be playing scrubs. I don't want to have to get rid of a player that I like, that's healthy, that's performing for me just because out of desperation.
Let me talk to you, Vlad, about an award here that I thought was very, very debatable. And it was Cy Young in the National League. In terms of odds, it's Strider at plus 230, Zach Gallen at plus 215, Clayton Kershaw plus 1,000. Clayton Kershaw, to me, his numbers are phenomenal and better, or at least right there with these other two. Strider was my preseason pick to win the award. But Clayton Kershaw at plus 1,000 compared to these other guys with similar numbers in the plus 200s. Like, let's bang on Kershaw and hope he doesn't get hurt, right? Where are you at with that, Vlad?
Yeah, those are great odds. I think the only concern that fantasy players and Dodgers fans had before the season started was innings limitations. Just wanting to make sure that he is fully ramped up for the playoffs. And as some teams do, you sometimes get those phantom IL stints. And we might see that sometime maybe around the All-Star break with Kershaw, just to preserve his arm over the second half of the season. But man, he's a great pick. If you're telling me those are the odds, that's really, really nice. I do love your Spencer Strider pick. I think that's what I would have done in the preseason and bet on him. He's an absolute beast. So, but Clayton Kershaw at plus 1,000, those are phenomenal odds. And you mentioned Zach Gallen, he's incredible too. And looks like Arizona has been in the hunt there in the playoff. Well, so far it's early. Dodgers, maybe Padres will be in competition for that division. But yeah, that's a nice 3-way race, and we might see some other players pop in there.
Alarm. All right, Fantasy Alarm, all sports subscription. Dive in, get all pro access to Fantasy Alarm for the award-winning DFS playbook covering 10 different sports, fantasy football, NFL betting. You got tools, podcasts, Discord chat, limited time. This is what you're going to get. 50% off of your first 6 months. The promo code is ALARM50. Again, it's ALARM50 at fantasyalarm.com. You can start your free trial today. They will match up to $100 also if you use the promo code Fantasy Alarm at fantasyalarm.com/underdog. And there was a great article on there about the fantasy baseball closer situation.
Yeah, the grid.
The grid
it's idiot proof for me.
It's amazing. They break it down
really
in colors for you.
Like it really is. Like if there's a, and Fantasy Alarm is awesome, right? But if there's something that's, for all levels of fantasy players, they got you covered. And what I love about it is they educate you. And if you can't catch up on everything, they help you catch up. Like if you're just based on life, based on everything going on. So they put together and it came out yesterday, a closer's grid, which is awesome. So, And it's red, yellow, and green. And we can all understand, we've all been at a light. Green means go, yellow means slow down, red means stop, right? So they quantify every closer situation in Major League Baseball. And honestly, it's a Malusis idiot-proof article. Like it really is. I've talked about it before. Like I'm a decent fantasy football player. I'm not a great fantasy baseball player. I'm trying to improve myself. Fantasy Alarm is helping me do that. And that piece on the closer scenario where, they tell you basically if your closer's in green, you've got nothing to be concerned about. Yellow, little bit of a concern. Red, there are massive concerns about that closer situation, and it's a very, very fluid closer situation. And one of those teams in it is the Yankees, obviously, with Michael King, Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, throw in Loizica. I mean, those are the options where the Yankees don't have that true deemed, this is our guy. They'd like it to be Clay Holmes, but clearly, he's not been consistent enough to be deemed that guy.
Yeah, 8 teams are in green: Guardians, Jays, Brewers, Astros, Red Sox, the Padres, Orioles, and the Pirates. I thought the yellow to me was the one, that yellow and even the orange-ish were the two that jumped out to me, because from a fantasy standpoint, like if you have David Robertson for the Mets, or you have, let's find a team that's going to win game, Yohan Duran for the Twins, they're going to win a lot of games this year. It's stable, but neither of those guys are like top flight. I can guarantee lockdown, shutdown closers all the time. So that's where I thought this was clever too. You have sleeper closers on there. Like for the Mets, Drew Smith is on there. For the Minnesota Twins, you got Griffin Jax is on there. And again, with closers too, remember, you have to actually win games, right? For closers to matter for you.
What's the point of having the A's closer?
Exactly. Like, don't bother. But like the Atlanta Braves, right? Like Raisel Iglesias has battled through injuries all year this year. If you believe he gets banged up again, AJ Minter is in that bullpen. So maybe you stash him. And also pay attention to your settings in your fantasy leagues too, because some of these leagues holds matter, right?
Yeah.
And just if you want to you may also just look for flame-throwing guy out of the bullpen that every time he comes in, you're getting 2 strikeouts.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great asset. It really is. And, and make sure to check it out. And they've got great columns, great pieces. Everyone over at Fantasy
and get your extra money off.
No doubt. That's it. I mean,
everyone likes a little extra money off.
Who doesn't like a discount?
Yeah.
Aside from my wife. Everyone else likes discounts. No, my wife's great.
Leave Donna alone. She's
she
a
shops
saint.
around for the best prices. She does. But check it out. Great piece on closers. Helping me out.
I need Donna.
I need all the help I can get when it comes to fantasy baseball, and Fantasy Alarm is my friend. We mentioned it earlier in the program about Kyrie Irving. I don't know. We were trying to figure out if we could play a little bit of the audio. I don't know if we necessarily can, just from a technical perspective, but Kyrie yesterday, hopped on social and had some great messaging. We didn't talk about it yesterday about John Morant, but had some very, very cryptic statements on social.
The John Morant thing,
yeah, they did a welfare check.
Yep.
Everything's a-okay. It basically, the crux of it came down to it was that he's taken a step aside from social media for a while. That was basically him saying,
definitely cryptic. It was ominous is the word.
Yeah, it didn't, right. When you're, no question about it. When you're going out and posting pictures of your daughter and your mom and your dad and all of these things and then saying bye, it just didn't look right. They did a welfare check. He is A-okay. It's just a matter of him taking a step away from social media. So he talked about nurturing, Kyrie did yesterday, about nurturing people, taking care of people, all that kind of positivity. Yeah, I'm all for it. Eat it up, eat it up with an absolute spoon, like Kwame Brown's taking on LeBron James. But here was Kyrie Irving talking about his future. Take a listen.
My last thing that I'm going to say after I say I love y'all. Stop mentioning me on Twitters. All y'all fan bases, stop mentioning me right now, please. It is still the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals. Denver's going to the finals. We're still waiting for Boston and Miami. Can y'all please leave me the fuck out of this? Please, can I just be with my family in peace? Y'all got people at my dinner table discussing what my free agency plans are. Stop that. Y'all think it's funny shit, but please stop that. I actually like having peace of mind when I'm at the crib, all right? I see all y'all ads, I see all y'all mentions, okay, I said it. I see all y'all stuff y'all be saying, I see all y'all members, I get it. I'm just as excited as y'all are, but you gotta chill though. Come on, we can have some fun with it, but the love is already there, right? The message is spread. I appreciate your ancestral run. Thank you for being tapped in. And I appreciate all y'all for tuning in, but please, all y'all fan bases, stop mentioning me just for the next month or 2 or 3. Whenever I make my decisions, please stop mentioning me. I love y'all.
Yeah. Number one is who is that? Who's he referring to? What fan bases are clamoring for Kyrie Irving?
The Lakers, I guess, right? But it was
but he's sitting courtside in 2 playoff games. And we do know this the Lakers were the list, were the top team that he wanted to be traded to.
LeBron wanted him and apparently was mad that they didn't get him.
Right, correct. And Joe Tsai basically said, we're not trading him to the Lakers, as the reports went at the time. And he ended up with the Dallas Mavericks. But what team out there, who else is clamoring for Kyrie Irving? Am I missing something, Keith? Maybe you have a better idea. The Knicks aren't. I mean, there's not a Knicks fan out there saying, "Oh, go get Kyrie Irving." What team out there is looking at Kyrie, as the finishing piece? To me, it's I don't understand the world you live in where he's sitting at his dinner table. Number one is you could turn social media off.
It's actually easy to turn off social
Like,
media.
you don't have to.
You can do it.
You don't have to pay attention to what people are saying if it was indeed true that people were talking about where exactly we were going to land. That's number one. Number two is, wouldn't loved ones ask you when you're sitting at the dinner table, hey, by the way, like,
where are we living next season?
Where do you think you're
Where
gonna sign? Like, what's your take? Like, where would you like to go? Who would you like to play with at this stage of his career? Is winning important? Is the most money important? Like, what, quality of life, is that the most important thing? Don't you talk about that with loved ones? Like, aren't those normal conversations like you have? Like, just like, where are we going on vacation? Oh, yeah. You get a new car, like all those things. Like, and I'm not an athlete, and I've never been a free agent in any athletic endeavor, professional sport whatsoever. But I would think that would be normal conversation amongst loved ones, right?
So more with the quote, by the way.
What's that?
I was more with the quote, by the way, right? I'm a free agent this summer, but I'm in no rush to make a decision. The TV personalities, we played that little part right there. There was another part in there. He said, the TV personalities, the sports folk that try to mix sports with politics and lifestyle and bleep like that, when they speak on my name and they're talking about potential teams that I'm going to, can y'all please respectfully, I'm asking, please stop paying attention to that. I am in no rush to make a decision. So essentially, really the vibe I got from this was he's trying to get, his fans to not pay attention to insert name of hosts that are bringing things up on the air about where they think he's going to go. You know what's funny is, and I think we do a good job. We're not talking about, we're talking about what he talked about. Moose, Kyrie Irving, one of the best 15 players in the NBA. Right? Yeah, sure. Probably 15, 20, whatever, right? Like he's an all-star, correct? So all-star means you're top 22, right? Or 24. Yeah. So he's top 24. How much do you and I talk about Kyrie Irving on the show?
Oh, no, we haven't talked about him in months.
Rarely, right?
Yeah, rarely. Yeah. Only when he gets in his own way.
Exactly. And we watch a fair amount of TV and listen to a fair amount of radio, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. How often do you hear TV personalities talking about Kyrie?
I haven't heard, and mind you, I haven't watched everything.
And we don't live in Dallas, so maybe the Dallas personalities
right, maybe
are talking
they are.
About him.
Maybe they are. But I'm not watching every show on Fox. I'm not watching everything on ESPN. I'm not watching everything that I don't know what Kyrie Irving is consuming.
Yeah, but let me tell you,
if the guys on TNT brought it up, I have no idea. I don't think so, right?
I haven't heard it.
No, they're spending time joking around with one another and talking about, Denver and the lack of respect, all these different things. But I haven't heard
LeBron retiring? Is LeBron staying in LA?
I haven't heard anybody talking about Kyrie, but it's so strange. Yesterday's the day to come out, and talk about that, and where there's this big conversation. It would almost be like LeBron coming out and saying, guys, listen, enough with the retirement conversation. I made it. I love basketball. I'm a little frustrated with the way that it came to an end. I understand that's all everyone is talking about. In that instance, that would be true.
Yeah.
Because that's all anybody was talking about and has been talking about, whether or not LeBron James is going to call it a career.
Yeah,
people coming up with fictitious trades about him landing someplace else. I saw
I
that.
texted you that. Yeah.
Yeah, you did text me that. Right.
So that was a crazy one, right? So who was it? It was Kevin O'Connor, I think, from The Ringer. I think it was him who put it out, that apparently he had heard there was interest between the Warriors and LeBron. Okay. I don't know what that means, by the way, because I think there's always interest at that. I know people always love to use the joke, if I were a single man, yeah, there's interest in insert name of, famous movie star female. She's not interested in me, but you get the point. I don't know where that came from, but listen, I was a little bit bored in the afternoon. Both of my sons are diehard basketball fans and we pay attention, blah, blah, blah. So I threw it into Trade Machine and I sent that over to you. And here was what I came up with. And let me pull it back up for you. All right. So assuming that you would definitely have draft picks as a part of this, You got LeBron James would go to the Warriors. The Lakers would get Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, and then probably would end up with draft picks as well. My thing to you was who says no? But it's not happening.
No, I don't think it's. I mean, I think the probably the Lakers would say no. I don't think Golden State would. Golden State would love to get rid of Jordan Poole. No,
I think they would love to. Yeah.
I mean, they'd love to get out from underneath that contract if they possibly could. Yeah, it would be such a nomadic way for LeBron to end if he finished up his career with the Golden State Warriors chasing another ring. I get the interest. You've got Klay Thompson. You've got Steph Curry, Draymond Green himself. He doesn't have to carry the workload. He can, or the brunt. I think LeBron's got to be a little disappointed about Anthony Davis not being in peak physical condition. For the Los Angeles Lakers, he's also been hurt. No one's denying the talent of Anthony Davis. You can't tell me it's a good look when he's getting beat down the floor by Nikola Jokic. And he looks winded early on in games. Like that's not a good look. I mean, you're a professional athlete. You're making a ton of money, especially when you're on a team led by a guy basically that all he does is care about his body 24/7 in LeBron James. Like he doesn't look like he has an ounce of fat on him. Like it looks like he could bounce a quarter off of his chest. So listen, I think Golden State, there's no doubt. Like Golden State, what Kerr had to say was dead on correct. That team never recovered from the punch from Draymond Green to Jordan Poole. They were never a together group this entire year. They had championship level talent. They didn't have a championship level mentality going into the postseason, and they ended up failing. If you're LeBron James, do you look at the Los Angeles Lakers now? And that is why he had the message the other day, is trying to get leverage to try and get them to move on certain players. You tell me, if I tell you, Keith, next year the Lakers have LeBron, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis, then are they a championship caliber team? Yeah, because I think LeBron would keep Kyrie in check. And that's it. Like, we open up the conversation talking about Kyrie Irving, where he is going to land. Anywhere other than Los Angeles with LeBron and the Lakers, and LeBron's got to be there, it's going to end in a disaster. Because LeBron's the only one, historically speaking, with his time in the NBA, that has kept Kyrie in check and has basically emphasized basketball. Kyrie grew tired of the messaging in Cleveland. That's why he asked out for Boston. If he goes back to Dallas, wherever he might land, I don't know where he's going to go. But wherever if it's anywhere else other than with LeBron and the Lakers, I just don't think it ends well.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about Kyrie going anywhere. Like it's at this point, like I think that we're going to be caught up in the allure of the talent of him. But no matter where he lands, I think there's a chance it falls flat on the face.
By the way, last night we mentioned it. Well, you haven't mentioned it up until this point in time. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers.
Yeah,
for the first time since the late '90s, right? They're going to the Stanley Cup Finals after sweeping away the Carolina Hurricanes. And there are sweeps, and not all sweeps are one and the same. Like Carolina didn't deserve to be swept. They really didn't. Like Florida is just on this. I mean, Keith, they're on this unbelievable magic carpet ride. Matthew Tkachuk has got 9 goals here through the postseason. They went out and beat Boston, Toronto, and Carolina to go to the Stanley Cup final, a team that was the number 1 seed last year in the Eastern Conference. They fell flat on their face. They go get Tkachuk from the Calgary Flames in the offseason after, they lose Johnny Gaudreau to Columbus in free agency, and Tkachuk tells them, I have no interest in signing with Calgary long-term. He becomes a Florida Panther. Watching, his brother and his dad celebrate in the stands. He has the game winner with 4.3 seconds to go left in the game last night as Florida punches their ticket to the Stanley Cup final, and they're going to be facing Vegas because I think Vegas is going to crack out the brooms.
Yeah, I think so too.
And sweep away the Dallas Stars later on tonight. So you're going to get the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup final, and I hope that we get a better cup final than what these conference finals have been, because they've not been particularly good.
No, and I mean, listen, to be fair, the Panthers Hurricanes had a Denver LA feel to it, right? Like the Nuggets end up sweeping the Lakers, and you heard Nick Kostos say it about an hour ago, may have been the best 4-game sweep he has seen in the NBA playoffs, right? Because all those games were exciting and close. All the Panthers Hurricanes games were exciting and close. You had the 4 overtime game, you had the overtime game, then last night scoring with 4 seconds left. The Vegas Stars series has really not been very good. 2 nights ago was gross. Vegas ran away from them. Now Jamie Benn is suspended for 2 games. And if Dallas loses tonight, oh, by the way, that suspension does carry over to next season. So Jamie Benn would not be allowed to play in game 1 of next season for the Dallas Stars. The Stars, man, they laid an egg. This did not go the way I expected. I thought it was going to be a good series. I picked Dallas to win the series. I did not think Vegas would dominate the way they have. No, they've dominated, and give them credit. Ben deserved the 2-game suspension that he got as well. And it's going to be Vegas. And I agree with you. I think without their captain, with just the overall nature, with the way that they played in game 3, it'd be a hard time thinking, unless Ottinger goes out tonight, and he's got the talent to be able to do it. Unless Ottinger's just unbelievable in net for the Dallas Stars. I think it's going to be a Vegas Golden Knights evening tonight, and they're going to march on to the Cup final and take on a team that looks like has got all the earmarks of a team of destiny when you look at the Florida Panthers. Just a programming note, Keith and I, we're going to be off tomorrow. Yes. We're going to be back with you on Memorial Day, Monday at 10 a.m. I know Keith is off, but Corey's going to join me on Monday at 10 a.m. So we're going to be off tomorrow. Hopefully everyone out there has a good holiday weekend. Keith, you got big plans, barbecue this weekend? Always. Well, actually, I'm working at MLB Network on Saturday and on Monday. So I still got to work twice. But Sunday afternoon, big barbecue at my house. Just not really big, but my parents are coming over, my sister and her family, and my brother-in-law and his family. So of I don't know, it's like 15 of us, I guess. I'll do burgers and dogs, and hopefully the weather will be good enough to
burgers, dogs. What else? A little chicken, a little kebabs.
No,
veggies on the grill, salmon, shrimp.
No. So can't mix the meats and the seafoods and all that kind of stuff. For one side. So need things to stay separate. So we'll do burgers and dogs here, and then probably some sort of like pasta and stuff like that.
Why can't you mix? What do you
Religion
mean?
stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah. Gotcha. So we'll I have to separate how all the food gets prepared.
Beautiful.
But that'll be Sunday, and Alex has a soccer tournament all weekend. Every game is in the morning, so we'll be in and out. Done at a field by 7:30 in the morning, done by 12:30 every day. I'm excited. What about you? You have the communion.
Paul's communion Sunday.
Yes, that I wasn't invited to.
No, we got baseball tomorrow. Got to get the house. Saturday. Got to get the house ready, and then communion on Sunday, and then family coming over on Sunday. So it's going to be a rager and the barbecue. I'm going to send you a picture.
I want pictures
of the barbecue. I'm going to send you a picture.
I want pictures.
Thanks to John Bollman and Nick Kostos for joining us. For you guys being with us each and every day right here on the Better Sports Network, Fantasy Alarm as well. For Keith Arizari, I'm Mark Malusis. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Be safe. We'll talk to you Monday at 10.
Later, everybody.